Dear students, let me now tell you the story, The Snake and the Mirror. The homeopathic doctor narrated the story. He asked the writer and the group if anyone had ever been wrapped up by a cobra snake. The audience became silent due to the fear of the cobra snake. Then the doctor narrated his story. It was a hot summer night. It was almost 10 o'clock. He was returning home after having his dinner at a restaurant. As the doctor was opening the door of his room, he heard a noise from above. But he did not react because he was used to such noises. It was generally the noise of rats. There were many rats in his room. There was no light in his room. So he lighted the kerosene lamp with a matchbox. His room was very small, which he had taken on rent. As he had just started his career as a medical practitioner, his earnings was meager. So he had to stay in such a shabby little room. He told the writer that he had just 60 rupees in his bag. Further, he added that he had some shirts and dhotis to wear. He also had a black colored coat which he was wearing right at the time of the incident. When he was in his room, he removed his coat, his shirt, and his vest. He admitted that his vest was not so white in color as it should have been, which meant that it turned yellowish in color. It was not so clean. Then he opened the windows. His room was on the outside of the house. Even one wall of the room faced the garden. The roof had tiles on it. Upper part of the wall was supported by the beams. There was no ceiling. Many rats went in and out through this beam. He set his bed near the wall and he laid down to sleep, but he could not. The wind was not blowing, and it seemed that the wind god had taken a day off. He went out to get some fresh air because he did not have any fan or cooler in his room, and he was feeling terribly hot. He came back to his room and sat on a chair. He opened a box under his table and took out a book named Materia Medica. He kept it on the same table on which a lamp, a mirror, and a small comb was lying. He opened it and sat down. As he was sitting in front of the mirror, he looked at his image in the mirror. He said that he was a great admirer of beauty. As he was a young man, he liked to appreciate beautiful things and wanted to improve his looks to look more handsome. As he was unmarried and he was a doctor too, he was an eligible doctor. So he wanted to make people know that he was also available. In other words, he wanted to people realize his presence. He combed his hair and tried to set them properly. While combing his hair, he heard the same sound from above, but he ignored it again. He looked carefully at himself in the mirror and decided that he would shave daily and keep a thin mustache because he thought that he would look more handsome with it. He thought to himself, he was unmarried and that too a doctor, so he should look handsome. It was necessary for him to look good so that he could get a better match for himself. He appreciated himself and said to himself that he had an attractive smile. Then and there, he decided that he would always smile as he looked better with such expression. This was an earth-shaking decision of his. That is, it was an important decision of his. He kept on repeating to himself that he was a bachelor and a doctor, so he had a lot of value and therefore it was important for him to look handsome. He got up from his chair and started walking up and down and decided on one more thing. He would marry a doctor woman who had lots of money and a good medical practice. But the woman should be fat. He had a logical reason for such a decision. He reasoned that if he ever made a mistake and his wife chased him, she would not be able to run fast and catch him. So the woman should be fat. Thinking of all these things, the doctor again sat down on the chair. Now the sound had stopped, but all of a sudden something fell down, making the sound of a thud. It felt like some rubber tube fell, and so the doctor did not bother about it. Even then, he thought of turning and taking a look at it. So he did that.